Please join me in saying the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Not sure I believe you. Are you excited to be here? Okay, a lot of people helped make this event today a success, but I would like to formally thank our Colorado team. I think they're hiding behind the curtain, most of them. I was going to have them wave. Okay, do me a favor. If you guys have Snapchat, can you please hold your phone up in the air for me? Let me see, by a show of hands. Perfect. Okay, I want you to send Snapchats to Gov Gary Johnson. Gov Gary Johnson. And we are going to feature some of those Snapchats on his from the rally today. I do have one tip. We ask that you zoom in to get a really good frame, okay? Do we have any room in the back there for people to stand? If any of you guys want to come down from the bleachers and join us. No? Everybody wants to stay seated? I hear movement, though. I can't see you guys back there. Okay, the rally signs are for waving around during the rally. We do not want you to be bored or boring. Have fun, wave them around, have a good time. And take some home. If there are extras, take some home to your friends and family too. Okay, so this event is being live streamed both on Gary Johnson's official page and on CCU's. So if you have a second, open Facebook, share it for your friends and family so they can watch it. Okay, now I have the extreme honor of introducing a friend of mine who is going to speak for us. I bet most of you here know her already. She is committed to making our voices in Colorado heard in Washington. She is a Chinese immigrant and a United States citizen by choice. She appreciates freedom and the American dream. She is the Colorado Libertarian nominee for U.S. Senate. She is Colorado's own Lily Tang Williams.
Thank you, my friend. Is this exciting? I have my husband here taking pictures somewhere, and my first time, I have my two boys, Arthur, Charlie, and Charlie's girlfriend, Ellie, with me. What is liberty? Liberty is the absence of oppression and control I grew up in communist China. I know what it's like when you don't have a liberty. When government tells you how much to eat, and what song to sing, how to think, what to say, and what hairstyle you should have. I was always thought I'm different from the rest of the people in China. I was born libertarian. I always trying to push the boundary a little bit. I wanted to laugh loud during the Cultural Revolution. They told me, close your mouth. Why are you so happy? I said, I don't know. Sky is very blue today. I like one handsome boy in middle school. I knew I would be expelled from school if I show my affection. If you talk about romantic love, is that human nature? But if I talk about sexuality, you'll be in trouble. I was a little bit too confident at the age of 7. I bragged to my girlfriend, I will be the first one to join Mao's Young Pioneer. And my teacher told me, you are too confident. You need to be like everybody else. You know, shut up, and if you are the first bird flying out of forest, you will be shot. So I had to listen to my teacher, to pretend, to conform, so I can move up, so I can wear that red scarf on my shirt. And I wanted to wear bright colors like this. I want to look prettier as a little girl. It's also part of human nature. I was told, don't wear that color. It's a capitalist. That's a capitalist color. You need to wear white, blue, and green, just like the one you saw in the movies during the Cultural Revolution. So I learned I better just live privately like two human beings, one for public, one for myself, because I did not understand why I was just a little bit different from the rest. I could not totally surrender and conform because I wanted to have some freedom. So I even went to law school after studying for 3 years because I got a dream. Maybe I can change China from a society ruled by men to a society rule of law. Yes. And I was barely 17, left home to go to Shanghai, one of the best universities. And in college, we become very disenfranchised. We realized there's a one-party dictatorship called the Communist Party. They will never change to give up their power until Chinese middle-class people demand it. So I decided I'm going to be a rebellious college student. During the beginning 2 years, we were banned from wearing blue jeans because that's a capitalist lifestyle. We were banned from going to dancing parties because that's not politically correct. Why do you want to move your body in a weird way? We learned disco by ourselves. After 10 o'clock, lights goes off in the school dormitories. So we go to practice with some wild music. Move our bodies strangely. We never feel comfortable before. I thought that was great exercise. Finally, they gave up. Okay, you college students, we couldn't control you. Go do whatever you want. So we had a dancing party every weekend. We had a... Remember, that's all we had is our bodies. We did not have private property ownership. We did not have privacy. We had our our bodies belonging to ourselves. Instead of state, it's going to declare they own our bodies. So I'm telling you, now you see where my passion comes from. Why I fear for big government. When you are controlled by a tyranny, it's a big boot on your neck, 24 hours a day. You could not breathe. So when I was in college, thank goodness I met a college student from America. He showed me pocket Constitution. My English wasn't good enough, but he read to me slowly, explained to me, all men are created equal. We have natural rights given to us by our Creator, not by our government. You got to say, my light bulb just come on. I can never go back to my old way of life in China. I was yearning for more freedom, for a free country called America. But I could not get out of China easily without fighting, without keep trying to get my passport. 7 trips to a local security bureau and sign the agreement my party boss wanted me to sign. All kinds of mandates. They want me to go back 2 years after my graduate degree in University of Texas at Austin. Or they're going to send my personnel file back to Chengdu, where I was born. I will never go back to Shanghai. Personnel file and the household registration system, those are the 2 things keep track of Chinese citizens from birth to death, even today. Imagine the concept of privacy never existed. My friends who are brainwashed today, who are educated, don't think even much about those systems. They have accepted that's the way of their life. There's nothing they can do. So when I go back to China, walk by the personnel file department, and knowing everybody's file is in that big building on my college campus, my heart was so heavy last fall. I would like to see people of China becoming like more Americans and demand the government to get rid of those tyranny systems, let people have privacy, have their freedom, live like human beings instead of trapped like animals. So finally, in those darkness, sleepless nights in China, I was so afraid I would be trapped. I would be stuck in a tyranny country. My whole life would be ruined. I could not be happy. I even dreamed about I would make myself. I was very creative. I would become Little Mermaid, dig a hole on the ground, swim the ocean, come to America in my dreams. I made it. I made it 2 months before my 24th birthday. Could not speak English like I do today to you. And $100 in my pocket, borrowed from friends. $1,200 owed to my American sponsor. But I had a big, big dream. My dream is freedom, prosperity in a free country. I am a living American dream today, from humble beginnings to running for U.S. Senate. And I'm doing this so my children and future grandchildren will keep living in a free country. They have no place to go. This is the last stand on earth, exceptional America, the shining hill in the world. I just before I came here, I just had a meeting with 13 African country leaders, someone from minority parties in their own country. They are trying to start liberty movement. They wanted to know about my amazing personal stories and my struggles as a libertarian candidate. I was very inspiring to them. I told them never give up. And libertarianism is the hope for the humanity and for the world, for the liberty movement. So I welcome them to join libertarians. It's okay, I was not invited to the major debate. It's okay, I was not getting equal press time. But I can never be silenced. I will keep running for this libertarian candidate. And I met a governor 2012 from the great state of New Mexico. He impressed me. He vetoed 750 big government crony capitalism bills in his state, more than all other governors combined in the country for those 8 years. And he's the only one who truly wants to cut government size, scale back their powers, and believe in personal freedom and economical liberty. And he wants to end the drug war because he believes we have self-ownership and self-responsibilities for ourselves. And he wants to be the one who focuses on America instead of global engineering, nation building, creating people in the world, hating us, want to come here, bomb us. And we need a skeptical like him and the table to negotiate, to work on foreign policies. And he did not become rich because he was in politics for 20, 30 years. He became rich by providing good service, working hard, knock on the door by himself to build a company, serve his customers well, and grow his business. That's the American dream. So, my friends, we are libertarians. This is our moment. We need to get organized. We need to become disciplined. We need to turn out to vote. I never voted. My father just voted this year at the age of 78 as a new citizen of this country. We refuse to be laying down the ground, let the mad government train to run us over, to let the bureaucrats decide what we should do, how much regulation we should have. They are not angels. Remember, they are human beings just like ourselves. We refuse to give them more power. So, my friends, this is an exciting moment. Keep getting involved. Grow the party, grow the movement. So thank you for being here. And please, let's move on, march on to take our country back. Love you all. Thank you. All right, let's welcome Tom Mann, who is next speaker.
Lily Tang Williams. Lily Tang Williams, the next senator from Colorado. Who's in? Are you in? Are you in? Thank you, Lily. I'm Tom Mann, and I've got probably the best job in the campaign. Best job in this room. Of quite possibly the best job in the world. Those of you who don't know me, I've been traveling around with Gary Johnson since this campaign began in January when he announced running for president. I've been traveling everywhere with him. It's a bucket list job, guys. It's one of the best things I could ever do. What's the best thing about it? Coming to places like this and seeing crowds like this. I've been a libertarian since 1981 in some form, shape, or another. We've never had crowds like this. We've never had support like this. We've never had the enthusiasm that comes everywhere. And it's a story of what's happening to this party and this country right now, and it's all you. It's you, and everyone here. Nothing ends on Election Day. Nothing ends. This movement is growing. It's getting bigger. It's getting larger. It's younger. We're kicking ass when it comes to millennials. And it's all because of people like you. So, who are you voting for on Tuesday? Who are you voting for on Tuesday? That's right. That's right. We're going to get a lot of votes. Thank you all for having us here. Thank you for having this great hall, all of you being here. I have the great pleasure now of introducing our next guest. I'm not sure if many of you are aware that he was even going to be a speaker here today. We kind of made a split decision in the back here. This is a man who I met in 2012. I had the good fortune of traveling with him around the country as well as he participated in our campaign from 2012. This man embodies honesty, professionalism, and most importantly, loyalty. I am proud, pleased to introduce the 2012 vice presidential candidate of the Libertarian Party, Judge Jim Gray.
Oh yeah, and it feels so good. We have the right people, we have the right messages, and we have the right candidate, and we have the right voters. You just have to understand, this is happening. This is going to happen. Good things are going to continue to happen day after tomorrow in the election and thereafter. You know, when Governor Johnson asked me to be his running mate in 2012, I was overwhelmed and actually very, very humbled by that idea. And running with him, having my name attached to Governor Gary Johnson has meant a great deal to me. But you know what he said after I said yes? He said, Jim, throughout the election campaign, if you happen to disagree with me for any reason, feel free to say so publicly. What does that say about it? I don't think Barack Obama said that to Joe Biden. Do you? You know, or anyone else in that regard. This man wants to do the right thing. He wants to get the right information. He wants the right things to happen. Politics be damned. We have the right candidate who will be the best president of the United States of America in Governor Gary Johnson. We all know this, and we have to get that across to our friends and everyone that you will be within the sound of your voice. After Tuesday, when I vote, I'm still old school. I don't vote beforehand. I like to pull the ballots. And I will feel proud about my vote for the Libertarian candidate, Governor Gary Johnson. Will you too? So thank you for that enthusiasm. And you know something? It says a great deal about a person when you look at his or her children. And it is now my honor to introduce Governor Gary Johnson's daughter, Saya, to come up here and talk to you. She knows him. She'll say.
Johnson, and my father, Gary Johnson, is running for President of the United States. I want to start by thanking you all for being here because you are the reason that we are doing this. You are the reason that we are bringing this fight all the way to Tuesday, and you are the reason that we are going to win. I'm going to keep this short because I know that all of you are waiting for the main event. But I want to tell you something that I spoke to a few thousand people about this week. And it's a message that works because it's a message that comes from my heart. And as you go into Tuesday, I want you to remember that it's important to talk to your friends and talk to your neighbors and talk to everyone around you and let them know that there is a candidate that they can vote for in this election. My brother and I, we are beekeepers. We can learn a lot about humanity by watching bees. And one of the best things is when a bee finds the best nectar source, the greatest thing in the neighborhood. Do you know how it tells all of its friends? It dances. It goes back to the hive and it dances its little heart out. And all of its neighbors start to notice that it's dancing. And they get excited about whatever it's excited about, and they start dancing too. And sooner or later, there is an entire hive of dancing bees filled with joy about the best thing that they have found. And I'm telling you this because I want you to be the bees. I want you to dance about this election. I want you to go into your communities and your neighborhoods, and I want you to dance. I want you to be filled with so much joy about Tuesday because you have a candidate to vote for. And now it is the great honor to introduce the heart of our family, who is my brother, Eric.
Hello, everyone. My name's Eric, a fellow Denver, Colorado resident as well. My father loves coming here, and it's because there's family here, but he loves Colorado, the scenery. He's done the Leadville 100 mountain bike race numerous times. He's done the Leadville 100-mile run before. But the biggest thing that people always ask me, being his son, is what is he like off stage? What is he once this is all done? Who is the real Gary Johnson? And the real answer is not that exciting because he's the same person. You're getting the same message that he would give to any other group. He's not pandering to a particular crowd. He's not saying just what you want to hear so that he'll get reelected. He's the man. He's had the same message his entire life. And even back when I was younger, when he ran for governor, at the time I was 12 years old. I didn't even understand what being governor really meant in the state. All I knew is that my father was my hero. He was the man that volunteered for my Cub Scout groups, for my baseball teams. He was the man while all of my friends were getting taken to Raffi concerts or Disney on Ice. At age 6, my father took me to my very first concert, Def Leppard. But what I always loved about my father when he ran for governor is that he ran on his own terms. He ran on his own dime. He paid for his own campaign the first time around. And with a very simple message, he was going to put people before politics. He was going to put the issues that needed to be on the front burner, regardless of the political consequences. And while he was governor, I almost hated the term politician for him. I always think, if we think about it, that always has a negative connotation for many of us. Sometimes a politician is someone who sold their soul to get where they're at. Someone who gave up certain promises along the way, campaign donations so that they would pass certain things once they were in office. And one of the greatest conversations I ever had with my father is we used to have numerous dinner conversations while he was governor. And he came home one day and he goes, "Let me tell you about what happened. He goes, today a gentleman stormed into my office and he said, Governor, I gave you $30,000 during your campaign run and you vetoed my bill. And what did my father did? He laughed. He said, that I knew that must have been your bill because it's absolute highway robbery, and there was no way I was going to sign it. And he says, you know what I'm going to sign for you right now? And he pulls out his checkbook and says, let me write a refund for you right here on the spot. But right now, he's in the greatest fight of his political career. It's estimated that Hillary and her campaign, they're going to spend $55 million against him in attack ads by the end of this campaign. Think about that. But they're doing that because he's a threat. They're doing that because the best attack ads they can come up with are brain fart moments. The best thing that they can do is bring up Aleppo or a foreign leader that he can't name. Which, if you think about it, that's like asking a vegan how they want their steak cooked. But, you know, regardless of what they say, Bernie Sanders goes on, and Bernie Sanders says, Gary Johnson believes in unlimited campaign contributions. He wants corporations to be able to control government. And you go, Bernie, yeah, he wants unlimited campaign contributions, but with complete disclosure of where those funds come from. And if you think about who he's currently backing, she would have a NASCAR jacket and pants filled with patches head to toe. Even Nancy Pelosi gets in on the fight. Nancy has no clue what she's talking about. She says, maybe the kids just like Gary Johnson because of his hair. Good job, Nancy. But right now, as I said, he's in the biggest fight of his life. And I'm sure you've heard the stories, but the man has climbed Mount Everest. And not just climbed Mount Everest, he did it with a broken leg. And many people say, no, that must not be completely true. No, a clean break of his leg. And when he went to the doctors and said, I need to climb Everest in a month, you know what they said? You need to suck it up. No cast, no painkillers. You fight through this every step of the way. And that's exactly what he did. And right now, we're in a campaign where, just like his entire life, he is taking one step at a time up that mountain. And the other two candidates, Hillary and Trump, they're further up the mountain, and the only reason they're there is because of their privilege, because what they were given, because of the advantages of the two-party system that don't extend to third-party candidates who have better ideas. But right now, they're gasping for breath because they have no idea what it takes to climb up that mountain step by step, to be someone who started a 1,000-person employee business as him, as a door-to-door handyman, someone who paid for his own campaign with no political promises, someone who got involved in politics with no previous political experience when people said he couldn't do it. People said he couldn't win. People said he couldn't get past the primaries. People said he couldn't beat the incumbent Democratic governor. And he did that and got elected and got reelected 4 years later by a bigger margin. So right now, I want to introduce you to the gentleman you all really came out here to see. My father and your 2016 presidential candidate for president, Gary Johnson.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
I've got to. I've got to be an all right guy, right? Those two kids that you just heard. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh man. Hey, the Cubs won the World Series, all right? Anything is possible. Anything is possible. And if there's anything that needs to come out of this today, it's that we won and that we can win, we will win. And the win is, maybe it won't be the most votes, but you know what? Let's make it the most votes. What the heck? Come on, okay, all right, let's make it the most votes. But if that isn't the case, this is a movement, and I'm kind of transitory here in this movement, but this really is an important movement. It's an important movement. And you know what? 8 major newspapers have endorsed me for President of the United States. Let's see, 8 for me and 1 for Trump. Today, the largest newspaper in South Carolina, Charleston, endorsed me for President of the United States. And you know what all the newspapers have said? They've said, these guys might not win. And these guys, Gary Johnson, Bill Weld, 2 former Republican governors that served in heavily Democrat states, that got reelected by bigger margins the second time than the first time, that were genuinely small government guys, that were genuinely socially inclusive, that genuinely made a difference. They weren't wallflowers. And these are the newspapers talking, we have an obligation. We have an obligation to endorse the best candidates for President of the United States. And one of those endorsements was the Chicago Tribune. Chicago Tribune endorsed the last third-party candidate that won, Abraham Lincoln. First they ignore you, then they make fun of you, then they attack you, and Tuesday we win. We win on Tuesday. There are 3 scenarios in this election. And just for a second, Hillary, if Hillary is elected, it is going to be a constant drumbeat of impeachment from day one. Hate to say it, but that's the case, and it's going to go on for 4 years. If Trump wins, he's going to be in court for something. He is. He is. 3 scenarios. Trump wins, Clinton wins. Is the polarity in Congress going to get any better? No, no way. It's going to be worse than ever. Their agenda is to kill one another. That's not an agenda for America. Now I come back to the newspapers. These guys are talking about the issues. The 2 major candidates aren't talking about the issues. Listen to what they have to say, because what they have to say is going to be embraced by future candidates for the next decade if any of them expect to be successful. There is a 3rd scenario on Tuesday, and that's that Johnson Weld get elected. And we're dancing now. We're dancing, you know. We're going to go out of here and make this happen. Johnson Weld, hiring a nonpartisan administration, non-political. Democrats, Republicans, Libertarians, Independents, calling out both sides to come to the middle to deal with the problems that this country faces. I think you could make a case that that 3rd scenario has a chance of succeeding. I agree with Trump 100% on his #1 issue in this campaign. I agree with Clinton 100% on her #1 issue in this campaign. Don't vote for Trump and don't vote for Clinton. Yeah, don't waste your vote. Don't. Don't waste your vote, and don't let your neighbors waste their vote. Wasting your vote is voting for somebody that you don't believe in. You vote for the person you believe in, and that's how you change things. Keep government out of my bedroom. Keep government out of my pocketbook. Going down the stretch here, if I may share with you a few things maybe you didn't know about myself. I grew up in the Dakotas, so church was a major part of my life. Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, hunting was a big part of my life. I moved to New Mexico when I was 13 years old. My mother got transferred there with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. I fell in love with New Mexico. I fell in love with northern New Mexico. Skiing, the outdoors, mountains, and of course Colorado just has that in spades. And just for the record, I have been asked many, many times on this campaign, what is your favorite city? On record, Denver. Denver is the most vibrant. It's true. Lauren, Eric, and Cora live here, but Denver lives here, and it is vibrant. I don't know if you all take it for granted, but it's real. It's alive. You're dancing. Everybody's dancing all the time. The things I learned when I was growing up, always tell the truth. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember anything. And if you tell the truth, you'll admit to mistakes. And there's no faster way. Another thing I learned, always show up on time. I am on time to a fault, and all being on time does is it just shows respect for the person that you're there to meet. That's all it does. And I've always lived by the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Since I've been 17 years old, I've paid for everything that I've had in my life. Everything. I started a one-man handyman business when I was a junior in college. I grew that business to employ over 1,000 people in New Mexico. Couple of things when it comes to success. One of them is sharing in the profits. It's amazing what happens when you share in the profits, how much bigger the pie gets. Another is the art, I'll call it an art, of hiring and firing. It's really easy to hire people, and I have hired a lot of really good people. It's impossible. It's the most difficult thing in the world to fire someone. But if you can't fire someone, and it doesn't have to do with them, maybe it's you. But if you can't remedy a situation where things aren't working out, you end up failing. And that's really the difference between the private sector and the public sector. We elect a whole lot of people who have never hired and fired, and so they find it really easy to hire, and they find it impossible to fire. And in the public sector, you can get away with that. In the private sector, you can't. And then we elect people who have never hired and fired, who hire people who have never hired and fired. And that becomes really compounded. And that, I think, is the worst thing about the public sector. Money, for me, has always represented freedom. Not things, but freedom. The ability to do what you want to do, when you want to do it. For me, that is athletics. It's being able to climb mountains. If I'm not elected President of the United States, and I probably won't be doing this ride, but I plan to ride the Divide in June, which is a 3,000-mile mountain bike race from Banff, Canada to Antelope Wells, New Mexico, on the Continental Divide. Now, I'll have to be canceling that trip. And if I may offer you all some advice, the advice I would like to offer you is that whatever you know, whatever it is that you do, apply it entrepreneurially. there'll never be a greater reward than creating your own job or creating jobs for others. Another is to live debt-free. Now, debt-free. If you're going to buy something and you're going to take debt, you're going to buy something that appreciates in value. Historically, that has been housing, and you have to live somewhere. So, you know, when it comes to debt, maybe a house. But when it comes to cars, if you can't pay cash, can't you buy a car these days for $1,000 that's still got another 100,000 miles on it? Freedom is not owing anybody any money. I don't owe anybody any money. I don't owe anybody a cent. And I've never taken a penny from politics. I think that that's really important. I think it's what's needed right now. And I got to do that as governor of New Mexico. I got elected governor of New Mexico. I'd never been involved in politics before. I went and I introduced myself to the Republican Party 2 weeks before I announced. What they said was, hey, we like you, we like what you've got to say, we like what you've done, but you just need to know that you'll never get elected, that it's not possible to come from completely outside of politics and get elected governor, Republican governor, in a state that's 2-to-1 Democrat. Well, I did, and how did I do that? Well, I paid for my own campaign. That's how I did that. Wasn't in debt. Wasn't in debt to anybody. There was no quid pro quo. The whole idea was to just do the right thing. And let me tell you, good government was easy. It's really easy when you just do the right thing. And I wasn't a wallflower. I was more outspoken than any governor in the country regarding school choice. I was more outspoken than any politician ever regarding the war on drugs and the need to legalization of marijuana. And Colorado, you rock for making that happen. Yeah. Models for the rest of the nation. I'm reading last week that the #1 category of arrest in the United States over the last 12 months is still marijuana. And not in Colorado. You have led by example, and I do believe that California is going to vote to legalize marijuana, and I think that that's going to be the tipping point. But you've started it falling. You've started it falling. The war on drugs. When this country legalizes marijuana, the next step will be to recognize all drugs first as a health issue rather than a criminal justice issue. We have the highest incarceration rate of any country in the world. On the reason for that, the war on drugs, and I refuse to believe that we are any less law-abiding in this country than anywhere else in the world. I made a pledge to New Mexicans. I will put the issues that should be on the front burner, regardless of the political consequences. I make that same pledge as President of the United States. I promise to put the issues that should be on the front burner on the front burner. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's be dancing, let's be dancing, let's be dancing. Come Tuesday, we're gonna be dancing. And come Tuesday, anybody that wastes their vote, Trump or Clinton, they're gonna have to look at themselves in the mirror for the rest of their lives. Whereas all of us here, we're gonna be able to go, I did the right thing, right? Right? I did the right thing. I changed things. Bill Weld and I, Libertarian nominees, were the only third-party candidates on the ballot in all 50 states. That is a Herculean task for those of you that don't know it. And you know what? we don't live in a democracy. We don't. We live in a republic. We live in a republic. We democratically elect our representatives. And when you live in a democracy is when people vote themselves a raise. In a democracy, the majority can put the minority behind bars. That's what happens in a democracy. But we are a republic. We are governed by laws, and the law is the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution of the United States, in a nutshell, is a document that limits the power and scope of government, allowing you and I to be free. The first 10 amendments of the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is all about protecting the minority against the will of the majority. That's the country that we live in. And it's a wonderful country. I don't think it's constitutional that we have a $20 trillion debt in this country. Bill Weld and I are pledging a balanced budget in the first 100 days. Now, why is that important? Why is that important? It's important for young people. That's why it's important. Young people in this country right now are getting screwed. I'm going to get my retirement, I'm going to get my health care, but you as an 18 to 34-year-old, a millennial, you're going to have to pay for it and probably won't be around by the time that you need it. And then we're going to ask you to go off and fight in these wars that are undeclared, in civil wars that put you in harm's way. Off to get killed, off to get maimed, wounded, psychologically damaged for the rest of your lives, as opposed to why you signed up to be in the military, which is to protect us against attack. And then young people, President Obama's Affordable Health Care Act. Dependent on young, healthy people paying for older, not-so-healthy people. So balanced budget is about the future of this country, putting the issues that should be on the front burner on the front burner. It's not an option to not talk about reforming Medicaid and Medicare and Social Security. It's not an option. Trump's not going to do anything with any of them. Clinton is going to expand Medicaid and Medicare. And how does this story all turn out when you print money to cover obligations that you can't cover with revenue? Well, at some point, horrible inflation occurs as a result of what's happening. And so that all the money that you and I work so hard to put in the bank, one day, all of a sudden, it's just worth a whole lot less. That's inflation, and that's where this ends up at a certain point. An opportunity to fix it, an opportunity to just say it's not an issue, it's an issue. It's not an option to do nothing. The Federal Reserve. Returning the Federal Reserve to its original mandate of inflation as opposed to the dual mandate of inflation and employment. Seems to me though they work against one another. And of course, right now we've got minus 0% interest rates, which favors the banks that are able to hold on to assets that otherwise we might have the opportunity to actually purchase, but we don't get that opportunity. It's a rigged game out there. Crony capitalism is alive and well. And crony capitalism is when the government picks winners and losers. Free market is devoid of the government picking winners and losers. It's not an option to say nothing when it comes to military spending. And by the way, among active military personnel, I am the overwhelming choice to be the next president of the United States. And to all the veterans in the audience and all those active military personnel right now, thank you. We have an obligation, all of us have an obligation to each and every one of you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I think the model of the future is Uber everything. It's Uber accountant, it's Uber lawyer, it's Uber doctor, it's Uber electrician, it's Uber plumber. It's eliminating the middleman. It's allowing for you as the provider of goods and services to give them directly to the end user. End user pays less because there's no middleman. You make more because there's more middleman. No middleman. I really think that this is the model of the future. I think we've just begun to see the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the sharing economy. The planes are full all across the country, people coming to Denver for the weekend to chill out. So Airbnb has got to be a huge opportunity for each and every one of you, right? Right? And other states are noticing that too, and that's why the legalization of marijuana is going to happen in a pretty quick way. But government is making it harder. Government steps in the way and gets in the way of the sharing economy. Government gets in the way of entrepreneurs. Government is making it more difficult to be an entrepreneur, not less difficult. And as president, I pledge to you, I'll make it easier to be an entrepreneur. I was talking to a young woman in Baltimore who got her doctorate in science, 26 years old. She says, I have these horrible student debts, but I figured out a way to pay them back. Airbnb, renting out my place, steady stream of income, paying back my student debts. City of Baltimore stepped in, banned Airbnb. That's what's happening. That is what's happening. And right now, the government is just girded to pass all sorts of legislation that is going to pick winners and losers when it comes to the internet. And if there's one bastion in this world of equality, it's the internet. All of us are on par with everyone else in the entire world. Let's keep it that way. We're a country of immigrants. We should be embracing immigration. We should make it as easy as possible for somebody that wants to come into this country and work to be able to get a work visa, and a work visa should entail a background check and a Social Security card that applicable taxes get paid. We should be building bridges across the border to Mexico, not a wall across the border to Mexico. Reason there are 11 million undocumented workers, the main reason, government sets up quotas. Sets up quotas, you can't get across the border, the line's not moving, and jobs exist that U.S. citizens don't want. So if you or I were in that same position, we'd be doing the same things for our families that these hardworking people have done also. So regarding the military, if we're attacked, we are going to attack back. We will have an invincible national defense. Defense, all right? I think Afghanistan is a great example. We were attacked, Al-Qaeda, Osama bin Laden, we attacked back. In 2001, we went in, we wiped out Al-Qaeda after 7 months. We should have gotten out of Afghanistan 15 years ago. And I guess for some, we'll be there another 15, or for some, we'll just be there forever. Iraq. After I left office, when it came to Iraq, 2003, I was asked, should we be invading Iraq? And my response was, no. I think we have the military surveillance capability to see them roll out any weapons of mass destruction. If they do that, we have all sorts of options to deal with that if that happens. But if we go into Iraq, we're going to find ourselves in a civil war to which there will be no end, and I'm afraid that's the situation that we're in. We went in, we supported regime change, In my lifetime, I cannot think of one single instance where regime change has worked out. We created a void in Iraq. We alienated Turkey, our ally. His henchmen fled to Syria, to Raqqa, and an arguably organized ISIS. You can't make this stuff up. And we're supporting the Kurds against ISIS. Before any of this started, we were giving resources to Assad to fight the Islamists that were in Syria before any of this started. Can't make it up. Need to have a chess player. Need to have a chess player as President of the United States. Just maybe not the most sophisticated chess player in the world, but just 3 or 4 moves in advance, as opposed to nothing. Can't you see what's going on? Thank you. Let's turn the satellites away from you and I as U.S. citizens. There is the Constitution of the United States. There is due process. That's if you suspect someone of a crime, you can go in and ask a judge to monitor that individual. And the judge will usually say, sure, yeah, what's your evidence? But when the NSA goes to the FISA court and says, hey, we want to monitor 110 million Verizon users? And the FISA court says, yes, that's not the country that we live in. It's not. Based on what I know about Edward Snowden, and what I know about Edward Snowden is that he was really concerned about the information that he had, and he did not want to release it himself because he didn't want to put anyone in harm's way. So he gave it to all the major media news outlets in this country to let them disseminate the information and release what they thought, what he was hoping would be safe information, that no one would get hurt. To my knowledge, no one has been hurt as a result of the information that he has let go. I do consider Edward Snowden a hero, and I would pardon Edward Snowden. Let me say that all lives matter, but let me say that Black lives matter. And Black lives matter because blacks are being shot at a much greater rate than whites are being shot. If you are of color and you're arrested on drug-related crime, there's a 4 times more likelihood that you will end up behind bars than if not. I think we've had our heads in the sand over this issue. I put my first in line. I've had my head in the sand on this issue. I don't think this country has ever been better, okay? We communicate with one another better. We get along with each other better. Our kids are smarter than ever. The #1 law enforcement tool that we have are our smartphones in our pockets. I think we're going to come to grips with this discrimination that does exist, and we're going to fix it. And all of us, and it starts with awareness. I said that if you tell the truth, you'll admit mistakes. So one of my big mistakes, I consider it a big mistake, when I ran for governor of New Mexico, I supported the death penalty. Eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. Naive, and today, I believe that the death penalty is flawed public policy, and here's why. There may be a 4% error rate in the death penalty. That means that for every 100 people you put to death, 4 of them are innocent. I don't know about you, but I don't want to put 1 innocent person to death to punish 999 that are guilty. Governor Ryan in the 90s, this was in the late 90s, ordered a review of everyone on death row in the state of Illinois. 36 inmates on death row. Because of DNA testing, over 20 of them were released because they were categorically proven to be innocent. That's the death penalty. And when you realize that it costs less to lock a person up for the rest of their lives as opposed to putting someone to death because of the appeals involved with the attorneys involved, but then you realize that when an attorney gets somebody off because they're innocent, I mean, that becomes invaluable. That's like priceless. So, death penalty, flawed public policy. If I'm elected president of the United States, I am pledging to be the most frugal president ever elected in your lifetime. Not only frugal, but how about bringing some humility to this office? It deserves humility. This is a constitutional office. This isn't king or queen or dictator. It's the president of the United States. It's transient, right? It's an occupier. It's a constitutional office. Let's treat it with humility. It hasn't been treated with humility. As governor of New Mexico, I don't know if you all know this, but as governor of New Mexico, I had a unique program to the entire country, and that was a program that I called Open Door After 4, where on the third Thursday of every month, I saw anyone in the state of New Mexico, starting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon until 10 o'clock in the evening on 5-minute increments. And I did this for 8 straight years. You have no idea how much I learned through Open Door After 4. How much I learned about government, how individual bureaucrats can sit on a whole lot of people and just go unnoticed. Well, in New Mexico, no one could say that they couldn't come and see the governor. Now, it was for a lot of different purposes. I think I made a difference in thousands of people's lives for the better because of state policy and how it was being enacted. But there were also those people that came in, Bruce and his wife, Betty. Betty was invisible, but Bruce and Betty and I had our picture taken. There was that part of Open Door After 4 also. All good, all good. When Flint, Michigan happened, and the governor said, hey, I didn't know anything about it, I'm going to take him at his word. He didn't know anything about it, but I would have known about it because of Open Door After 4. I'm pledging as President of the United States to have an Open Door After 4 policy. I'm also pledging that my entire cabinet is going to have an Open Door After 4 policy. Sunday evening, you're all here, you rock. I can't believe it. Can't believe it. Really, this is so cool. I'm going to close here with Johnson's 7 principles of good government. 1 is become reality-driven. Find out what's what and base your decisions and actions on that. Number 2, always be honest and tell the truth. It's really difficult to do any harm to somebody who's willing to tell the truth, regardless of the consequences. 3, always do what's right and fair. Critics abound. Look, do what you think is right. Number 4, determine your goal. Develop a plan to reach that goal, and then act. Don't procrastinate. Number 5, make sure everybody who ought to know what you're doing knows what you're doing. Communicate. And number 6, don't hesitate to deliver bad news. How many problems are just compounded because there's not a recognition and that it hasn't been acknowledged? Acknowledge it, move on, fix it. And then lastly, be willing to do whatever it takes to get your job done. If you don't have a job that you love, quit. Quit tomorrow and get a job that you love. Because there's nothing better than spending your time enjoying your life, and that is what this campaign is all about. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You all rock. Let's dance. Let's go out of here dancing. Let's make a difference. Let's win. Win on Tuesday. Yeah!
I have to get back before the flag.
Everyone, on your way out, please make sure that you grab a Gary Johnson sign. Grab 3, grab 4, grab 5. Take a stack of rack cards. Make sure when you take a sign, you get the stakes. Colorado state statute says you can't place it closer than 50 feet to a polling place, but make sure you put it 50 feet and 1 inch from your polling place on Tuesday. And also, when you get home, make sure you take a moment because, like Governor Johnson said, the fight for liberty does not stop on Tuesday. The Libertarian Party of Colorado and other state organizations across the country fight every day in the battle for freedom. So when you get home, also check out lpcolorado.org to find out how we all can participate to fight for freedom. Join the party. Make sure when you do go there, join the party. The convention is March 24th, 25th, and 26th of next year. We're going to have a variety of speakers, including Senator Laura Ebke, Libertarian Senator Laura Ebke, former candidate for president Austin Peterson, and a variety of others. So, like I said, everyone can have an impact in the election. Everyone can have an impact on the Libertarian Party. And make sure you take advantage of your opportunity to do so.